back, lighting though, with another rating movie, video, whatever you want to call it, for a franchise. I've already done it for the Marvel movies. Damn, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be because I've seen all of them so many times, so I had a good memory of how I liked them in their specific ways. Explained why I had them in their position. I explained why I like them and what was the things I like or didn't like, whatever. It's a pretty long video. Hopefully the Stars video will not be too long. And I did try to attempt this before, and it didn't work out, but yeah, so here it is. Here is my rating of the movies from left to right, and then the last one. So yeah, I don't have them all in their boxes because, well, previously when I did the video the first time I attempted, I didn't have, we only had oh fuck, where is it? We only had these, you know, the one with all 6, Skywalker, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, then obviously the other 2 non-Skywalker films, but I'm still putting them in my favorite to least, whatever. But I did buy the big box of the Skywalker saga, and boy, that's fucking a lot of money. What was it, $255, $256? It was like only barely a handful of dollars off of $260. Damn! Now, I'm trying to save for a card here. No more big purchases, Tristan. Remember that. Damn. Anyway, so from left to right, this is my number 1. Most of it has remained. I think I've changed it a little bit since the last video because I couldn't remember where I had it at. But this is probably where I had it at, about the same. Number 1. Let me just get close. Empire. Boy, those stop motion walkers always look good. I'm like, that has aged beautifully. Let's be honest. That looks so real. Here it is, 2020. That shit was 1980, and that still looks good. I mean, even though it's stop motion, mixed in with some digital effects, like, you know, the laser shooting off the walkers and the snowmobile, you know, vehicles that the rebellion was driving in. Oh, it looked so real still. And when they tripped that one, okay, let me just get into why Empire's the best. Many probably would agree with it. Not only does it have the highest Rotten Tomatoes score, that's not the reason why I'm making it number 1, but at least Rotten Tomatoes does agree with me. It is the best Star Wars movie of them all, highest score, but that is literally, from beginning to end, the most entertaining Star Wars movie from beginning to end. It is the most Star Wars you're gonna get in a Star Wars movie. George Lucas perfectly balanced everything out. And it had so many iconic moments, like Han Solo's, you know, and Leia's, "I love you." I know. And then, God, the music got so powerful. Fucking John Williams. I mean, I get goosebumps. I start to tear up a little bit because I'm thinking, dude, that was such an emotional scene. I wasn't there in 1980, but when I saw that for the first time, oh my God, that was kind of like a Tony Stark scene in Endgame a little bit. Music got real powerful. He went down and then carbonated, then Darth Vader, you know, awesome Empire music going off, theme music, and I'm thinking, oh my, there's so many goosebumps. There's goosebumps on top of your goosebumps. There's 2 layers worth, for the record. If you're a true Star Wars fan and understand why I'm explaining it in such, you know, excitement. I'm so hyper about it. It's the best. I'm like, I mean, even though it's just 1980, you compare the fight scene from New Hope, which was 1977, it was okay. Like, it was the first time ever won, so people will probably, it's probably maybe, I don't know if it's a tad overrated or underrated, I don't know, but it's okay. But back then, it was like spectacular. It was like the best thing ever. But man, the fight scene between Vader and Luke, compared to Vader versus Obi-Wan, it was so much more bigger. They did more, and it was a lot more broader of how they fought, and it still looks good to this day. It may not be the best dual fight scene in all Star Wars, but it's up there. I put it behind Anakin against Obi-Wan and the Darth Maul fight scene between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan. I think it's the third, arguably, yeah, the third best one, because it wasn't just the choreography, but it was the emotion and the inevitable finding out that Darth Vader was his dad. That's like one of the biggest reveals in cinema freaking history. I'm trying to keep my language down. I don't want to make this too R-rated. But hey, I'm wanting to express my emotions about these movies because they need to be represented. Because I think the sequel trilogy has made people hate Star Wars now. Fuck you, Disney, for doing that. But don't fuck you on the Marvel movies. You did right by the MCU. Well, technically, because Marvel, even though they're owned by Disney, Marvel's still their own entity thing. Kevin Feige still runs Marvel, okay? Star Wars is run by Disney, run by Kathleen Kennedy, who is now Disney. You know, Disney really took over Star Wars. Disney did not really take over Marvel. They just bought it, which means they'll share the revenue with Marvel. But Marvel, in the end, pretty much gets the last say-so on their movies. They still make their movies how they want. Kevin Feige gets the last say-so. Thank God that man gets the last word, because that man is a genius. Movie-making genius, Kevin Feige is, because all the movies in the MCU are at minimum okay or better. None of them are bad. I mean, let's be honest. Like, people say shit about Thor Dark World is bad. If you were just watching Thor Dark World, you would still be like, that's a pretty good movie, actually. But in the MCU, people are like, it's god-awful. But if you just watched Dark World and had no idea of the MCU, or weren't committed to the MCU and weren't addicted and wasn't watching all of them, you'd be like, Dark World was pretty okay. It was pretty good. So, they know how to make movies. Okay, I'm getting a little sidetracked with the Marvel movies. Back on Star Wars and George Lucas's master creation. Any part had so much emotion from beginning to end. The big reveal of Yoda, seeing him for the first time. Frank Oz's amazing voice for Yoda and how the way he talks backwards and always giggling and everything. Like, he's just perfect. I mean, come on. Hoth, and then I fucking love Cloud City. If you ask my friends Josh, David, whatever, I won't shut up about Cloud City and how much I wish they went back to it in Episode 9. They didn't, so damn disappointed. But damn, love Cloud City. I love the theme music for it. There's just something about it I just like a lot. I would like to live up there. If I had one of my dream places would be to live, like a dream fantasy, Cloud City would be one of them. Not the main one I would pick, but it would be up there. I don't know, it's just cool setting. The sunset when they showed Cloud City, it was like orange. It was very uniquely beautiful. And seeing Lando and there's just so much. And then when Darth Vader intervened, you know, when like right before they were gonna have dinner, and the doors open, and Han was like, "Oh shit!" Pew 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 pew, and Darth Vader just with his hand was just effortlessly was like, "Bitch, please." Bitch, please. Like, he's Han Solo, but even Vader's like, bitch, please. And then sucked it right out of his hand, literally taking no effort. We would be honored if you would join us. Oh, no, iconic line. I'm getting way excited. I need to not make this too long, because I have no idea when they're getting back home. But and then, it was the biggest cliffhanger of all the Star Wars movies, how it ended. What the hell's gonna happen? How are they gonna stop Vader? Where's Lando and Chewie going? And how are we gonna all reunite? Fucking Luke got his hand cut off. He lost his only lightsaber that it was his father's previously. And how is he gonna get another one? Well, Luke ain't no dummy, and Yoda is still out there, completed his training, and taught him how to make a lightsaber very properly, and, I mean, come on. You knew, like, it wasn't like the end of the world. Oh yeah, and then when they're on Hoth, right before Luke left, Obi-Wan showed back up for the first time ever in ghost form, in the supernatural ghost form of the Jedi. Qui-Gon taught him how to do it. Eventually told Yoda and Obi-Wan, and we get to see it for the first time through Obi-Wan, Alec Guinness. And that boy is our last hope. And then Yoda said that amazing, "No, there's another." And everyone's like, what? I'm literally getting goosebumps just saying that. Because when I watch that scene, I try to forget it's Leia. And you're just, oh my, what? You know? It's just so, I just love the scene, the snake pit, you know, when they're inside its mouth. It does ruin it for me a little bit that it's a puppet, but other than that, when they're inside it and everything, and this is no cave. What? I can keep talking about it all day long, it seems like, but I need to stop before I get too far ahead. This camcorder only has fucking 48 minutes left of footage, because it still has the footage from the hiking vlog at Anderson Falls, so yeah, that's why Empire is the one, always will be to me. Number 2 is Revenge of the Sith. I know you're like, the fucking prequels this high up in your top 3, top 2 for crying out loud? Hear me out. Revenge of the Sith has by far the most fight scenes in all Star Wars. The most duels, whether it was just simply just lightsaber scenes. It was like throughout. Like, isn't that what we want as fans? More lightsaber scenes, more lightsaber fight. That's what Star Wars is all about. Space wars in the stars, in space, and also lightsaber dueling. I mean, come on. And you get the most of that. You know, whether it was with Grievous fighting Obi-Wan, or in the very beginning when it was like, whoa, we get like right into the movie with the huge war that's going on in space right outside of literally Coruscant. Like right in the orbit of it practically. And you're like, whoa, we're getting into it already, and the fucking special effects for 2005 100% still holds up to this day. Like, people can't shut up about how detailed the effects are and how much there's going on in the scene. And you're like, this is the way you start off with a Star Wars movie. Right down. You know? Like, no waiting. Like, George Lucas heard the hate, heard the complaining about episodes 1 and 2, and did everything right in episode 3. And I know it has some of its cringy lines in the beginning, like between Anakin and Padme. You know, you're so beautiful. Oh, because I'm so in love with you. So love has blinded you. That's not exactly what I meant. It's probably true. Yeah, it's not even Padme. It's some of the lines, how Hayden presents them. It's a little cringy, but I mean, it's also the lines. Like, George had some of the cringiest lines in the prequels when it came to the writing, and poor Hayden had to deliver them the best he could. And no matter how well he could have delivered them, they were going to be cringy no matter what, unless you're like fucking, you know, a AAA, you know, actor that's like incredibly well known for their amazing work. Hayden, he was just starting out. This was like his first ever shit on the big screen. I'm sure he did like small other stuff that got George's attention of like, yeah, this is going to be a young Anakin Skywalker, a young Darth Vader. He had to have done some other work, like theater or whatever, I know that. But this was like his first big ever work. And poor Hayden had to deliver these lines that George wrote for him, and it's not Hayden's fault, everybody. Hayden, he's beautiful, he's Anakin. I wouldn't want anyone else doing Anakin. I'm literally honest about that. I would not want anyone else playing Anakin. Hayden is my man. He's the one that gets to represent Darth Vader in his young years. Well, we get to see Anakin literally at the top of his power in episode 3. Even though it was 2-on-1 in the beginning against Dooku, and Obi-Wan was again out of the equation, for some reason Dooku always had Obi-Wan's number. I didn't like that. I never understood why, but he always did. I never understood why. Like, he always knew how to check Obi-Wan. And forced Anakin to go 1-on-1 for the rest of the time, and he defeated Dooku. And my god, the speed, the choreography, it's at its all-time best. The fight scenes, how sick the choreography was throughout episode 3 was 100% the best, and still holds up, and is the best of all the Star Wars movies. I dare you to pick a movie that had better fight scenes. I mean, I get it, episode 1, we're not there yet, but I mean, throughout the movie, Grievous against fighting Obi-Wan. Oh my god. 4 arms! Dooku, in the very beginning, how episode 2 ended, goes right back. Well, yeah, speaking of Dooku, we're jumping right back into that fight scene, 2 against 1. And this time, you know, Obi-Wan is like, this time we'll do it together. I was about to say that. Perfectly delivered. Good line, but even betterly delivered. And even though they did it together, once again, it was at the end of the fight scene, it was again Anakin against Dooku, like it was in episode 2, where it ended with Anakin fighting Dooku. Dooku had the upper hand because Anakin was a fucking Padawan. Give him a break. But Anakin was kind of like Obi-Wan in episode 1. He was practically ready for the trials, ready to become a master himself, like Obi-Wan was in episode 1. Anakin was like at that level. He was... I know he was still emotionally compromised by Padme, but other than that, if you take that out of the picture, Anakin was worthy to be a master. That was the fucking Council's fault for not making him a master, and that's why it helped him believe Palpatine and what he was saying about the Jedi's weakness, the Council not approving of him, and you know what? You can fucking blame the Jedi, especially when the Jedi couldn't even recognize and sense there's a dark force here. And I think it's Palpatine. I think he's the fucking Sith. Yet shit, they never sensed it. And it sucks, and shows the weakness in the Jedi. Big time. Their arrogance, whatever, just assuming, why would he be here? Under our noses, literally. It still had one of the best scenes. Arguably, the scene between Anakin and Palpatine when they're at that, like, show or whatever was going on, like a purple environment, whatever. It was like a play or whatever. It was like, Anakin, come closer, I have good news. And he talks about Obi-Wan and then Darth Plagueis. That's arguably one of the best Star Wars scenes of them all. Like when he talks to him about Darth Plagueis and about the dark side, the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities, some consider to be unnatural. I'm thinking, whoa. And Anakin, you know, when he hears about Darth Plagueis, knew how to keep the ones he cared about from dying. He can actually save people from death. And then the dark side of the Force. Pathway to many abilities, some consider to be unnatural. What happened to him? And, well, he died. I think we can kind of guess who killed him. Obviously, it's Palpatine, because how the hell would he know so much about Plagueis and knew that he died in his sleep? How would word get out about that? Because he's the man that did it. He's Darth Plagueis' apprentice, obviously. I think we all know that. And then Anakin, and when he hears that, you know, he's so obsessed of not wanting Padme to die at childbirth. He's seeing premonitions of the future, actually, of what will happen. Doesn't mean it's set in stone and will guarantee it happen. It's a very possibility that it can happen. And he's so desperate to save her. He's like, is it possible to learn this power? Not from a Jedi. You must turn in order to learn this power. If the power even actually exists. We don't even know if that even exists. I know there's force healing. But actually bringing people back from the dead when they're actually dead, and they have the power to bring them back, we never saw that. So Palpatine could have been fucking lying with us this whole time. He could have been fucking with Anakin. He could have been screaming with Anakin and be like, oh, if you turn, I'll tell you how to save Padme. When really, you don't even need to save her. You're the reason why she died, because you're believing Palpatine, but then obviously that's also because of the Jedi Council not trusting Anakin, so Anakin has no other choice to trust Palpatine, because he's like, you know, pulling the strings here and there and trying to get Anakin to turn, because he senses the great power in Anakin, and he wants him to be his new apprentice, no matter what. He'll do whatever it took. And, you know, it led to the Order 66 montage. Fuck, that's so depressing. The fucking music and the freaking killing children. And, you know, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do? When you saw that at theaters, and Anakin just turned his lightsaber on, you knew what that meant, and then it cut back to Padme because you knew what happened afterwards. You're thinking, damn. This is dark. Like, Episode 3 is 100% the darkest of all the Star Wars movies. Like, he had literally children dying, yet younglings being shot by clones and killing them. And then, obviously, you know, the Jedi Temple scene when he killed the even younger younglings. Fuck, the music is so sad and powerful, and it really... I'm getting goosebumps just even thinking, because it's just John Williams. God, he's so fucking perfect for Star Wars. It was really a match made in heaven. And then, you know, throughout, and then the inevitable fight scene between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Best fight scene in all Star Wars. Fight me if you disagree. That's 100% the best fight scene of all Star Wars. The speed, the athleticism, the continuation of it. The fight scene was like 10 plus minutes just between two Jedi Masters. I mean, I call Anakin a Jedi Master. He technically was, let's be honest. The Jedi Council was just keeping that from him because they didn't trust him. And I'm like, fuck you, Mace. No offense, Yoda, but fuck you too. Trust this man. I know, but if you trusted him even a little bit and you're like, Jedi Master, you are Anakin. And then he'd be like, not wanting to listen to Palpatine as much. And then he would start getting some trips from the Council. And then Anakin would start feeling good about, not only about himself, but with the Council and the future with his wife and his newborn. He thought it was just going to be one. It turned to be twins, obviously Luke and Leia. Anakin didn't know about that. He thought there was just going to be just the one, not twins. When Anakin and Padme were going back and forth, he's like, the Jedi have turned against me. Don't you turn against me. I'm like, God, that was so powerfully delivered. And, you know, Padme was like, I don't know you anymore. Anakin, you're breaking my heart. You're going down a path I can't follow. And then Anakin had to be like, because of Obi-Wan. I don't like that line. That makes me mad. I'm thinking, no, you're killing the vibe. It's such a dramatic and powerful scene. Don't do this to me. Because of what you've done. Because of what you plan to do. But then it recovered by, stop now, stop. And then he looked up and there's fucking Obi-Wan ready. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Are you kidding me? This is really gonna happen? I love you. Why? No. You know, you brought him here to kill me. And then, first time ever you see him do the Force choke. And he fucking did it on his wife, who was pregnant. And that led to her being more heartbroken. And then, I'm like, damn, this is fucking dark. Like, shit. And remember now, I was growing up watching the prequels. So I technically didn't, not technically, I literally did not know what happened after the prequels. I literally grew up in the perfect time of the prequels. Not knowing what happens in the original series helped out with my imagination of the prequels and what will happen next in the future. I'm not lying. Watch the prequels first. So I had no idea what's gonna happen. Like, is he gonna kill Padme and who's gonna win between Anakin and Obi-Wan? Who dies? Who lives? You know, so I had no idea. So this is really a perfect time to be alive to watching the prequels and not knowing what happens in the original series. So yeah, the fucking fight scene was amazing, and the environment with Mustafar, and unfortunately they didn't go back to that plan, which would have been a nice ending to all the Star Wars movies. Would have been maybe going back to Mustafar. I don't know. But at least it'll make episode 3's fight scene stand out even more, because it was that one fight scene. Not only was it the best already, but the environment added another element. It was dangerous. It was lava, magma everywhere, volcanoes going off everywhere. That was the one scene that really stood out, because it's the only movie that took place there. So it kind of helps episode 3 to stand out more. You know, seeing Anakin and Obi-Wan go at it for so long, and then the inevitable, you know, I have the high ground, where's me my power, because his leg's off and his other hand, and literally he's limbless, pretty much. And then burns up alive, and only because he's so powerful with the Force does he still survive that. And then the ending with, you know, Padme giving birth to the, you know, Luke and Leia, Anakin slowly becoming Darth Vader. It's very powerful. And it was very torturous to see them like operate on. He was like, you know, not having it at all. Gets the suit put on, and then the helmets, and the scene where, you know, when he does become Vader, and he says, "Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she alright?" And then Palpatine said, "It seems in your anger you killed her." And people have debated that maybe he did. Maybe him staying alive and then inevitably becoming Darth Vader, staying alive, people were saying he wasn't just drawing off his own personal life source, but because since he was so damaged, the only way he could have stayed alive is because evidently people think he is, through the Force, very connected with Padme. Well, obviously, because if he got her pregnant, he'd be very connected to her probably through the Force. And people have debated that he was technically stealing her life source, taking her life to keep him alive long enough before he got the helmet on, and then the suit would have kept him alive for the rest of his life. And people think he was taking the life from Padme to keep his own self alive. So people think Palpatine wasn't BSing; he was legit telling the truth. So in a way, people think he legit did kill her by taking her own life source to keep him alive. She died right as he became Darth Vader. Like, we watched the movie, she literally dies right as he becomes Darth Vader. So people make that connection. Hey, I can believe it. I mean, I guess it would make sense a little bit. And then the fucking dramatic ass, you know, music, and when they're on the Star Destroyer and The music got real powerful. Then the show, the freaking Death Star in its very early stages of being created, and the music was so powerful. I get goosebumps just talking about it and reliving it. And then there's him and Palpatine, such a iconic scene, and people just be like, wow, the Darth Vader theme music and the Death Star and the music and everything. Ugh. And then when Leia and Luke go to be sent to their homes, and that's how it ended with the double sun. Bam. That's Revenge of the Sith for you. Whoa, I went on way too long for that. So, number 3. New Hope. What started it all, 1977, New Hope. I mean, even the actors on the movie were like, what is this? Is this like a remake of like even Mark Hamill was like, is this like a Flash Gordon kind of like remake or whatever? Like, what is this? This is like the first of its kind. And technically Star Trek was the first, but not on the motion picture. Star Wars was the first, 1977. And it immediately starts off, with the fucking Star Destroyer following that little itty bitty ship. Shows the galactic size of the Star Destroyer. And you're like, is it ever gonna end? The Star Destroyer just kept going and going and going, and you're like, damn. So it really shows the power of the Empire greatly. And you see Leia for the first time, Luke, Darth Vader. You're like, who the hell is this? But he's already intended because he's wearing all black. I mean, he's like a robot. You probably thought he was. Just the reveal of all of the Star Wars: Han Solo, Chewbacca, Chewie. All of them. 3PO, R2-D2, arguably the 2 most famous robots ever. Trash compactor is arguably probably my most favorite scene of all the movie. And like, it's coming, and then when they first get out, they heard a noise. They're like, where are you going now? No, wait, they're here. And then Han shot again, and everyone's like, ugh, come here, you big coward. Chewie, come here. And she was like, Chewie, come here. I don't know who you are. Where are you from? But from now on, you take orders from me. Okay? Listen, your worship. I take orders from just from one person, me. One, and you're still alive. Can someone get this big walking carpet out of my way? No rewards is worth this. I mean, come on. You can't top that. Like, look how different the movie was. You had a walking like dog and robots bickering back and forth, and he excels at that, sir. And like, who does that? I mean, it's so different, and just wow. It's a beginning of one of the greatest franchises there ever will be. Seeing the Death Star and everything, and I loved it when they're on. Obviously, when they get that's no moon, that's a space station. Simply to be a space station. I have a bad feeling about this. First one ever of I have a bad feeling about this. Turn the ship around. And then got on the tractor beam. And then you're thinking, oh my god, we already saw the Star Destroyer, how fucking big that was. Look at the Death Star. It's literally a planet. It's literally a planet. And the music was like getting all hype and getting very dramatic. It's like preparing you for the size of this fucking space station. Are you shitting me? You see how big it is? The first ever lightsaber duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. It may be somewhat mediocre now these days, but I can already imagine 1977, seeing that for the first time. Just seeing the effect of the lightsaber for the first time ever when Luke first turned it on. I mean, it was so basic. It was such a challenge to even get it right. You notice every single time when Luke turns on his lightsaber for the first time, when Obi-Wan gives it to him on Tatooine, there's literally a blatant cut between when he, right at the last second before it turns on, and then when it cuts to when it does turn on. Because that was like the very first ever time doing it. And it was such a challenge, and this is the first time ever doing that. There's literally a blatant cut between when it's off and on. And it didn't bother us, because it was the first time ever seeing it for the first time. We're just amazed over it. We're like, but, there's an obvious cut, but oh well. Just the amazing fight scene for the first time ever seeing one, Vader and Obi-Wan going at it, duking it out. First time ever. I mean, people were like, oh my god. And then the space war outside of the Death Star trying to destroy it. You know, there's like a secret thing to it that we must destroy, and this is the way to do it. You know, when you hear Obi-Wan trying to help guide Luke to help destroy it, and he does, and then, you know, Peter Cushing's like, evacuate? I think you overestimate the chances. And then, you know, Han coming back when at first he was like only in it for the reward, but he proved he's more than that. He came back and got Darth Vader off his tail. And speaking of that, when he was chasing Luke, you know, there's that iconic moment where he's like, Force is strong with this one. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock, it's your son. He better be strong with the Force. He got it from you, Dad. He got it from you, Dad. And Han came in. You're all clear, kid. Now explode. Now destroy this thing. Go home. And then the music, and then you saw the torpedoes go inside the hole that would eventually make its way to the center of the Death Star and blow it up. And then right before, you know, it's all building because the Death Star was about to shoot and fire because it was in range to shoot the planet that where the Rebel base was at. What was it, Yavin 4? They were, you know, about to shoot. It was really a race between who's going to destroy who first. The Rebels going to destroy the Death Star, or the Death Star going to destroy the Rebel base and end this war once and for all. And it was like a race, and then BAM! Exploded, and everyone's like, what? And oh my god. And then the movie ended, and let's be honest, I think a lot of people when they're first watching Star Wars A New Hope were probably thinking, this is the only one, because I don't think back then they were naming them off like 4, 5, and 6. I don't know if they were doing that already, but I'm sure back then when they were seeing 4, 5, and 6, they're like, did I smoke too much crack yesterday? Or am I out of the loop of where's 1, 2, and 3? Because who the hell starts off with 4, 5, and 6? George was so different, he literally titled them 4, 5, and 6. You're thinking, where the hell's 1, 2, and 3? I mean, like, it's, oh my god, you know, but that's George for you, and that's New Hope for you. Number 4, Return of the Jedi, the last of the original series, 1983, the supposedly at that time climactic end to it all, you know, the return of the Death Star, and it had like that intimidating look to it because they were blatantly not finished with it, and technically they said they weren't even finished with the first one. They said they were still working on it technically, like it was still fully operational, but it wasn't even done being worked on yet, even though the full outside part of it was finished. It was blatantly not finished. Like you saw the outside part of it, it was like there's a big chunk of it that still wasn't finished, and I think in my personal opinion it gave it a more intimidating look. It gave it more of a character, like it was evil, like it had a face. You saw the you know, where it shot its big ass laser at was kind of like an eye, and then the part that wasn't finished, that was like still being worked on, but there's still like a chunk taken out of it. It was kind of like the mouth or the face or whatever. So it gave it like a more intimidating look to it than the first Death Star. So that's kind of what George's he was trying to do, to make the two Death Stars not blatantly the same, so you don't confuse them with each other. Death Star 2 is the one with the big chunk that wasn't finished on it, and then the first one was the one that was mostly complete. Not all the way, but most of the way. Episode 2, I mean, the second Death Star had the chunk taken out of it, which I've always thought of it as a face. Anyways, like I was saying, the climactic end to all of Star Wars. How it ended with the, you know, the rebels against the Empire, you know, like the all-out armies going at each other. You know, they thought they were gonna march at the front doors of the Death Star, but no, this time they were smart. The Empire was. They're not gonna allow the rebels to just show up and destroy it again. No, we're gonna put shields on it this time. Finally, all crafts pull up. It's a trap, and then, you know, the big scene of, oh, there they are! And it was fucking trap all along. They fucking fooled the rebels thinking, oh, we're just gonna show up and destroy the Death Star. No problem whatsoever. Psych, there's a shield. Even though they didn't sense it, they couldn't scan for the shield. But I think it's because when Lando was like, where's the Empire? Why aren't they like making a final stand? Why aren't they like protecting the Death Star at all? This doesn't seem right. Unless if they know that we're coming. Crowds pull up. Shields are still up. I have no rain. Are you sure? Yes, all crowds pull up now! Because if they keep going, they're gonna crash into the shield. Duh. And then it's a trap scene. But even also beginning to Tatooine, seeing Jabba for the first time, Jabba's palace. Even though it was 1983, we've already had probably some stuff that was probably already racy. But Star Wars, they're only PG. They weren't PG-13. I don't think there was even a PG-13 back then. But George wanted these to be for kids and for all audiences. He didn't want them to get too racy or too much language, too much of anything that would have made it too inappropriate for kids. Like, it was originally for kids with adult humor, adult moments, but it's supposed to be for all ages. And this was like the first time you see George introducing Jabba's palace, and it's not just no normal palace for gangsters or whatever. It's like a strip club almost. I mean, let's be honest, he had like these hot, anorexic. Okay, I probably didn't even use that word right. Hot exotic chicks, alien chicks that he would have at his palace that would like fucking dance erotically in like skimpy clothing, and I'm like, bro, this is 1983 and this is supposed to be Star Wars, not a freaking like strip club scene for kids to see. But it did give us the infamous Leia scene in her slave, outfit, and it's so famous. Like it's not. I'm like, obviously she's hot. I'm like, she's a fucking knockout in her slave Leia outfit. But it's so famous also at the same time. It's like something you'd have in a museum. The outfit itself. Like it's that well known and so worshipped. Even I think Carrie Fisher did not originally agree to that. And I don't blame her. Like, you're in a freaking bikini and you're like, I thought this was supposed to be for kids and for all ages. Not me look like I'm a stripper. A slave, like a sex slave. That's what she looked like. And it was like a metal bikini, so it wasn't like a regular bikini that would like be comfortable or whatever. That thing did not look comfortable of her having to wear it. And I know they didn't show anything of Jabba behind the scenes with the chicks, but I think you could kind of get the idea that he probably had sex with them afterwards when everyone went to sleep and he'd have his alone time with the girls. Don't think he did anything with Leia because she wasn't there that long. I don't think, but hey, we never know. She never mentioned it, never talked about it. If she did, it probably would get way too inappropriate for Star Wars. Anyways, you see Luke, you see him do the Force choke, and he's wearing all black. So you're thinking, I know, you're thinking, okay, he's incognito. That's why he's wearing all black. I bet it's showing like, damn, this is dark. Like, he just Force choked those two pig-like guards and just killed them. Bam, they're gone. Like, yeah. Damn, Luke. Like, taking no prisoners mentality. And it's like he kind of fully intended to be captured in order to save Han, because this whole time he had his new crafted green lightsaber in R2-D2, because evidently he intended to get captured, and then he knew at last worst case scenario he would give R2 the signal and shoot up high in the sky in perfect angle. Well, R2 would shoot up in the sky, and Luke would obviously use the Force to pull it to him, and then would go to town with it. And the reason why his lightsaber was green in Return of the Jedi, it's not because they wanted to change the color. It's because in 1983 the special effects weren't awesome. Like, they were really good. I'm like, you see Star Wars. But they weren't awesome like it is today. And since Tatooine was very bright, very sunny, very, bright everywhere, they said that the blue lightsaber was fading too much into the environment, whether it was like the sand or the sky. It was so bright out that the blue lightsaber just could not exist visually when they were filming outside. The blue was too light, and you just couldn't see it. So they had to resort to the green, because for some reason, I don't know why, scientifically, why it's proven that green is like the brightest color out there. It's just something how our eyes are more sensitive to green or something. But they had to resort to green because it's the brightest color that's out there, and it's the most dominant color, really, ish. It's just the brightest, and it worked. And that's why they had to resort to green. But it was a nice change up. to see a green lightsaber. You already had the red for the bad guys, blue for the good guys, but then there's also green. So it was really a beautiful thing to happen because, yeah, they were forced to resort to another color, but let's be honest, it was a more diverse of lightsaber colors. If it was just blue or red all the time, that would get old. You would get sick and tired of there being only 2 colors. Now there's 3. And then obviously, there'd be more down the line Star Wars, purple, yellow. I think there's even like a plain white color, just bright lightsaber. I mean, it's colorless, I think. Or even like the negative lightsaber that the Mandalorian would wield. I would know that because I watch Clone Wars now. It's nice to know that now. And obviously I'm Mandalorian. But back then, it was nice to see. It was such a gargantuan thing to behold. That wow, a green lightsaber. Like, it was really nice. And then, you get to see Luke go to town and kill everyone. And you see, his robotic hand get shot. To remind you, his hand got cut off by his father. So don't forget that. I did also forget to mention in Empire, Boba Fett. Obviously, he's like the ultimate badass. He's no good to me dead. And it was a dumb way for him to get killed. He like accidentally got killed by Han. Han was like, Boba Fett, where? And Chewie was like, he's right behind you. Remember, Han was still recovering from his cryo freeze. After effects of the symptoms of it. But eventually, he would get his vision back and everything. But I was like, Boba Fett, where is he? And he like hit him on his jetpack, and then he went crashing into Jabba's big ass cruiser, and then got swallowed up by the creature that was originally gonna kill Luke and the others. But yet I've heard that Boba still survived that. Josh has nonstop told me, Boba survived, dude, and I'm thinking, how the fuck did he survive? He was inside that thing's mouth. How could he like fight back and like use his flamethrower to force its mouth to open back up and everything? I just don't know how. Wouldn't like crush his skin up in him and swallow him up and eat him and whatever, digest him? So I don't know, but he supposedly died. But anyways, Return of the Jedi is still way up there. I think what hurt Return of the Jedi a little bit compared to episodes 4 and 5 is the Jawas and how they were easily defeating the clones in the final fight and on Endor, which I love. Endor, obviously, one of my favorite places in all Star Wars, and I love the Jawas too. They're like very recognizably well known, but I think people, and I will have to agree, would have a problem that they kind of, in some cases, when they're tossing those rocks on strings, kind of like a cowboy, and when they toss them at the clones, they're like easily defeating them or killing them. And I'm thinking, and like the clones were so intimidating in episode 5. How they're having to leave Cloud City. There's that dramatic, leaving, and then they were trying to get Han, and then Boba got out at the last second, and those clones were keeping them from leaving. They were intimidating, like they were scary or whatever. And then they became not as serious in Return of the Jedi because these little teddy bear creatures were defeating them. I get it, they had like tricks and traps because that's their home planet. They know every nook and cranny that's there. But it really made the stormtroopers not that intimidating anymore, let's be honest. Like, yeah, you had the AT-STs introduced for the first time. You had the walkers, the amazing effect of the stop motion of the walkers in episode 5, which still amazingly holds up today, let's be honest. And the snowmobile crafts that was flying around them. It was a huge scene. But seeing the AT-STs, the effects have obviously gone better since then, and that's why they can do more with them. The scene with Darth Vader and Luke going back and forth. I know you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father, and that name no longer has any meaning to me. And, trying to, because he has, and also the, dramatic death of Yoda, and really powerful, and the music, and then talking with Obi-Wan again, and like, from a certain point of view, you're telling me he was my father, but not really, but from a certain point of view, trying to get his dad to turn back and knows that there's still good in him. And he's like, it's too late, my son. It's too late. The Emperor, he is your master now. And my father is truly dead. And there's that moment where Vader kind of takes a moment with himself after they escorted Luke elsewhere to go to the Death Star. And you see the struggle in Vader. He's really struggling. He's really like, he wants to turn, but he feels like he can't because the power of Palpatine won't let him. But Vader, I bet he does. Now that he knows that he has a son, and his son wants him to turn, to redeem himself. That made him want to turn, but he just felt like Palpatine just never would. That's why it took to the very end, even after him fighting Luke again, when Luke, was like, he thought about, oh God, Leia, no. Then Vader was like, sister, you have a twin sister. Your thoughts have fully betrayed you. If you don't turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. Never! And then, oh God, the back and forth, and the music, and the final fight between Luke and Vader. Ugh, so good. And then seeing Palpatine, seeing that he's not just some crippled old fucking pedophile lookalike. He's got power too, very powerful. And we get to see what his power is with the lightning and everything. Almost killed Luke, but then Vader was like, no. And then did like a wrestling move and then tossed him down that pit. And we all thought, there's the end of Palpatine. He will never return back. We thought. Well, killed Palpatine. Vader, gasping for his last breath because Palpatine was still shooting out. He was still spamming his lightning after Vader picked him up. And the lightning ricocheted back onto Vader and it fucked up his breathing system. And he was, in a way, he was already dying. He was smothering. He couldn't heal on himself. He couldn't breathe by himself anymore. That's what the suit was for. The helmet and the breathing system that was on his chest. He needed that. And when they got electrocuted and destroyed by Palpatine, he was gonna die no matter what. And poor Luke, trying to get his father off the Death Star after, the inevitable knowing that it's probably gonna blow up again. That amazing scene, when Vader's face reveal behind the helmet. Just a big scene, and seeing what he looked like, all pale and scarred, and he got his closure from his son, and knowing that he had a daughter out there too, you were right. Tell your sister you were right. You were right about me. And then did a last second smile, then died, and then you're like, oh, like that hurts. It really hurts because you're so happy that he redeemed himself, and even though he was the bad guy, he became the good guy at the end and redeemed himself. And God, that hurts. That fucking shit hurts. And the big, when Han finally destroyed the shield, and Lando was getting nervous, like, come on, hand, oh buddy, don't let me down. He didn't let him down. He destroyed the shield, and finally was able to go back to the Death Star and found an entry. And my God, that entire sequence of the Falcon going through the Death Star, going on the inside, and such a great scene. And they finally got to the middle and destroyed the Death Star and destroyed the main reactor to it, whatever. And it was like an all-out race to get out, and everyone was thinking, like, will the Falcon actually make it? Because you saw all the destruction right behind the Falcon. And then there's that one cut when you get to see like the inside of like the point of view that Lando and all the other guys inside were seeing outside, and they were like so close to not making it. The Falcon was literally like inside the flame or the destruction, because you saw the fire around like the windows of the cockpit, and you're thinking, oh my God, are they gonna fucking make it or whatever? Which of course they did, but like, bro, like it was so close. And then the other infamous scene of the second Death Star being completely destroyed, incinerated like it should have been, and now some of its gargantuan remains still being in existence in Episode 9, but whatever Disney. That makes sense, because it doesn't. It's completely incinerated in Episode 6. Got destroyed, but whatever. And that was the climactic end, and everyone's y'all celebrating on Endor. Everyone's hugging and laughing. And then Han was like, "You love him, don't you?" "Well, yes." "Okay, I understand." When he comes back, I won't get in the way. And Leia was like, it's not like that at all, dummy. He's my brother. But how was Han supposed to know that? He doesn't have the Force where he can sense that you're related. You just kissed him in the last movie. Like, even though Leia and Luke had no idea of it, technically incest. And I'm sure there's probably times when Leia and Luke talk about that and they're probably just like, you kissed me. Like, I didn't know you were my sister. I was just, recovering on Hoth after that, surviving the cold and everything. You kissed me. Let's get that straight. So if anyone should be like, should be Leia. She's the one that kissed Luke. She grabbed his face and went, "Hey!" Freaking mouth raped him, probably. And of course, Luke's like celebrating because they were like both wanting Leia, but good thing Luke didn't do anything more after that we know of. Because they were brother and sister. He's my brother. Then kissed Han in a way of like, I love you. He's my brother. I love you. And, the big celebration and then freaking burning Darth Vader again. That man was burnt already once down to a crisp. You had to burn him again. And somehow his helmet survived. And then, his grandson would get the helmet, which really doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense. How the second Death Star still existed and didn't completely get fully destroyed, and some of its remains crashed onto one of Endor's moons. And how Darth Vader's helmet still existed, I just don't understand, but it's just whatever. And there was that big scene where they're all celebrating, playing the music, and then you see the Force ghosts of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Yoda. Well, in the original form of the Force Ghost for Anakin, it was not Hayden, obviously, because it was 1983. I don't think Hayden was born, I don't know what year he was born. But it was like the actor that did actually play Vader when his face was revealed. It was that same actor. Well, in the remastered special edition version, they wanted the more, relatable Anakin's form, so they had Hayden be the Force Ghost. And I like that. That was a nice touch to show when he was young, before he became Darth Vader. You see Obi-Wan and Yoda old, but it makes you wonder why you don't see them as younger Jedi. But it's supposed to show them that, they were good all the time and never turned bad. Anakin was good up until that point when he has long, curly hair in Episode 3, before he became Vader. So I like that they did that, and they showed Hayden in place for the original actor. And I like that touching, and I like that little touch-up. And I like that. And I'm glad George did that. Now, to be honest, this next one I'm going to put in my ranking, it's probably going to piss some people off and probably be a little controversial pick. But this is my opinion. Remember that. I'm not saying you have to agree with it. This is my personal opinion. And number 5 is fucking Last Jedi. Reason why is because I liked Rian Johnson's story. Like, to prove that he is a great storyteller, watch Knives Out. Like, people say he finally redeemed himself. I mean, fucking Rotten Tomatoes, as controversial as that is, that shit still gave it a 91%. So, that's still considered a great movie. I think it is. I think it's at least really good. I still really thoroughly enjoyed Last Jedi. I liked the story, how it started off like a new Star Destroyer called the Dreadnought. And, bro, I mean, come on. It had arguably its best special effects scene ever. Let me just tell you my highlight of the whole movie was the sequence when, our Snoke ship was Rose and Finn when they're trying to be undercover, but then Benicio del Toro's character fucked them up and sold them out, and they're about to be executed in the very harshest way possible that the First Order could do, at least by Captain Phasma's standards. And then on top of that was the tug of war with the lightsaber between Rey and Kylo Ren. Very dramatic. And then you had Laura Dern, who's about to go light speed straight into Snoke's ship, stop them from to stop Snoke's ship from shooting at the escape pods that were on the cruiser, all the surviving members of the Resistance. God, all how it built up the music once again, John Williams, and God, when you watch that shit is so fucking powerful. When Lightspeed pulled the saber apart, and right before he thought Finn and Rose were about to get it, and the lightsaber pulled apart, and then boom, Lightspeed straight into Snoke's ship. It was like quiet. Went through Snoke's ship, quiet. And then what destroyed all the other Star Destroyers was obviously the debris of the cruiser when it went elsewhere at Lightspeed. It also destroyed the other Star Destroyers. I learned that from actually a person that described that whole entire scene of why the other Star Destroyers also got it that were present is because the debris of the main cruiser also shot outwards at Lightspeed, and it went into the other Star Destroyers and destroyed them too, of what was left of the cruiser at Lightspeed. It was all silent when it all happened, and it was so much more dramatic without sound effects, and it was more real, because in the vacuum of space, there ain't no sound effects. In the movies, they introduced the sounds for entertainment purposes, obviously, to keep you engaged in the movie, or else all the scenes of outer space would be all silent, not entertaining at all. I mean, come on, you have to add sound. But I liked it that they made it silent, and then when the sound came back, it was like loud and powerful and vibrating, and I'm like, oh my god, just what a fucking scene for Last Jedi. That was like the highlight of the whole entire film. I mean, come on, you gotta admit that. That was a great scene. There's, wow, Lightspeed scene, fuck. That's the way to go out if you're a holdout. That's the way to go out, if there ever was one. Obviously, the main problem that people have with the movie is Luke. And you know what? At least give the director Rian Johnson, who also wrote and directed Last Jedi, at least give them in credit that at least they went down a different route. Like Luke's not perfect. He's like a human being like us. They're not, even though they're technically aliens compared to us, they're still very similar to us. So I know he's a Jedi, but he's normal just like us. He's just like us. So he went in a very depressed state. He went to that island to die alone because he felt like he failed, and he created another Darth Vader-like figure in Ben Solo, who wanted to go by Kylo Ren with this new persona. And Luke blamed himself, so he wanted to isolate himself and not be in the picture anymore. And can you kind of blame him, but also at the same time you'd be like, oh, cheer up, Luke, you're still fucking Luke Skywalker, the most powerful Jedi that there ever was. Give me a break. So, yeah. So, it's, I get why, because of Luke, but I thought it brought more realism to Luke in a different, I don't know, side to Luke. And I like that. I like that we didn't always see, oh, the cheerful, oh, good guy Luke. I like that they went a different route, okay? So, I don't care what you people say about it. I still like the movie and still enjoying a lot. I got my fucking top 5 for a reason. So, hate me or don't, I don't give a shit. I still enjoyed Last Jedi a lot. The story was very good. It was complex. I still enjoyed it. I don't care. I thought Snoke was well done. I didn't like that they killed him off. Don't get me wrong. That's the main thing I hate about the movie. And really almost the only thing. Like, there's not much I do hate about the movie. But the biggest blame thing I disagree with the movie with everyone else does, if it ain't Luke, it's the killing of Snoke. I mean, like, really? We're supposed to be introduced to this guy that could be the potential Darth Plagueis figure that we were kind of built up since episode fucking 3 back in 2005. And he wasn't. And he actually, this whole time, was a fucking clone that was created by Palpatine, but whatever. But I liked Andy Serkis voicing over for him. They did Snoke real well. Like, I liked how they made him look all old and scarred. And I liked how he was introduced in the movie when he was, you see Kylo Ren go into his throne room. I just like it. I don't care what people say about it. Just didn't like that they killed him off. But I'm gonna try summarize it a little more now, because now we're starting to get to the area where I still enjoy the movies, but it's not like I love them. Well, I still love them, yeah. Let's not get that wrong. But they're not up there with the top tier movies. But yeah, Last Jedi I still enjoyed it a lot. It's by far my favorite of the sequel trilogy. I still say applause to Rian Johnson. He knows how to make a movie. And Knives Out, he proved it that he can. That was a great movie too. And actually, everyone agrees with it. Like, it's an incredible score of 97% of Rotten Tomatoes. Is it deserving to be that high? It's definitely a minimum 92% minimum. I mean, it's a great movie, but 97, it's a little high, but I still enjoy it a lot, so I'm not going to question it too much. But back to Star Wars, I still thought he did real great on Last Jedi. So that's Last Jedi for you. It sucks that there wasn't an actual lightsaber duel scene. In fact, when it comes to Star Wars movies that actually had a lightsaber in it, Last Jedi had the least amount of lightsaber scenes in the entire movie. That sucks, but oh well. I still enjoy the movie a lot, so whatever. I liked Luke in it. Man, it was so emotional that they killed him off, and of course all of Leia's scenes were bittersweet because, you know, Carrie Fisher passed. But I'm glad she managed to still film all her scenes, because all the scenes of her was filmed. They were finished and completed, so I'm glad they managed to do that. So it served her character right. In her last one, she, you know, was in it a lot, and it was all her scenes. It was not like a digital version of her. She filmed all her scenes. It's depressing. And it was depressing seeing Luke die, even though it was anticlimactic that it wasn't actually him confronting Kylo Ren. It was just a Force ghost form of himself, and it killed him in the process of it. It was very dramatic when you see the two suns again, just like Tatooine. Very emotional. Music's always there. Alright, that's Last Jedi. Trying to summarize it. On to the next one. Number 6. Phantom Menace. Oh, you people are probably like, gotta be way lower. Let's be honest. What really helped with the movie was the final fight scene between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan. A lot of people will still say that's the best fight scene of them all, because, you know, it's 3 instead of 2. You know, like Anakin and Obi-Wan, but like I said, it's like ear height compared to Anakin and Obi-Wan fight scene. So it's that close. It's like not even half your head, you know, different. It's really close. But I still liked it. I love Liam Neeson in it, for crying out loud. I love him as Qui-Gon Jinn. Seen Ewan McGregor for the first time ever as a young Obi-Wan. Awesome. Match made in heaven. Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson. Can't go wrong with that. I don't think people really loved the kid that played the young Anakin Skywalker. I know he didn't have the greatest lines. George, like I said, had a lot of problems with writing lines for the prequels. That's why prequels are so cringy sometimes to watch. And that's all on George, because not only did he obviously famously directed them, also he wrote them too. So he really had his fingerprints all over the prequels. So it's just whatever. It's what started it all, episode 1. If it wasn't episode 4 in 1977, it's episode 1 before episode 4. So chronological order. You know, starts off on that space station, seeing the Jedi for the first time. You see them in their Jedi robes for the first time. So we get to see the Jedi in their prime years when they're young. Mace Windu, you know, you see all of them. Yoda, still a puppet, not quite digital yet. But in the special edition version, he is digital. So we get to see, you know, the Jedi Council, you know, the Jedi, all for the first time. What did they look like in their prime years? What did it look like on Coruscant in George's mind? All in the very beginning, how did he imagine? How did he think about how this would look? Well, we could see it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it. I think people didn't love the politics about it either. I didn't mind it. I mean, people hated Jar Jar, the most annoying character of all Star Wars. I don't have a problem with him either. I don't find him annoying. And I like the underworld city of the Gungans on Alderaan. Well, did I get that right? Naboo. I liked it. Final fight scene, and God, I gotta go back to the final fights between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. The music, Battle of the Fates, if that's what it's called, Duel of the Fates, whatever. The double-bladed lightsaber, seeing that for the first time, people were like, oh my god, double-bladed lightsaber? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Against 2 Jedi Masters? Technically, Obi-Wan was one. Like he said, he was ready for the trials, he was ready to become a Jedi Master, because Qui-Gon was one to take on Anakin and become his master. Yeah, technically 2 Jedi Masters against Darth Maul, and God, what a fight scene that was. So, yeah, I enjoyed Phantom Menace. I liked it. Special effects, for the most part, hold up. there's always a bigger fish. Obviously, scene when they're underwater and escaping all those gargantuan fish. God, they were so fucking big. I always liked that one when they were leaving the cave and there's like that snake creature, and they're trying to escape it. When it was like power's back, and then as they were leaving the cave, there was another one coming in. It was like, I always liked that one because it like had a voice. So I could relate with that one more than the other fish because he was like, and he had like a face and everything. So he was my favorite. That fish was that creature was my favorite. It's always a bigger fish. Can we just go home now? That was a really cool scene of the underwater scenes with him escaping the fish and everything. The choreography, the fight scenes with lightsabers. Come on. Going back to Tatooine, like they were in episode 4, that was very nice for, George and his crew going back into the desert for Tatooine scenes. And of course the pod race scenes. I mean, come on, those were amazing scenes. I love the pod racing scene. That's just awesome. Like, can't really say enough about that. Special effects when they go in the cave, and they going against that one creature that had like that, the big orange one that was like the best racer. He always wins. Lightsaber duel with Darth Maul. Can't go wrong with that. Next, episode 2. Attack of the Clones. I know, Yoda doing the Force. Can't get much better than that. Fighting Dooku. I still enjoy it. I still enjoy the prequels more than probably most. Love the prequels. Because like I said, I grew up watching the prequels, so they'll always hold a special place in my heart, the prequels will. Because I grew up watching them, so I technically did get to watch Star Wars in truly chronological order. So, and when you watch them as a kid, you're amazed by them, Star Wars and everything. And even as I get older, I think they get better. Because you understand the story more, so they get better with time. And as you get older and you understand more things. Episode 2, I still enjoy a lot. I know it probably has the most cringiest scenes with Anakin and Padme. I don't like sin. Like, he tried to deliver as best he could, but it's the line. I don't like sin. It's coarse and dry and it gets everywhere. I guess it's really just about the timing of it. It's supposed to be romantic. Here's Padme wearing a literally half-exposed dress that's literally showing all her back. So it's like, if she's wanting to bang Anakin, she's ready to do it any time now. And here's Anakin trying to not have feelings for Padme because it's forbidden for a Jedi to have, connections, personal feelings. Too much personal feelings, like, love interest, whatever. You can't have that. So it makes you wonder, how the fuck does the Jedi reproduce? How is there more of them? How have they not died off? If they have not done the dirty, done the nasty with someone else and not continuing their religion? That's what I want to know. I guess most of the Jedi live for a very, very long time. But, because I guess the Force enables you to live longer. I don't know. But again, how do you reproduce is beyond me. So that being forbidden for a Jedi doesn't really make any sense. And that wasn't fair for Anakin either. Especially when freaking Padme's prancing everywhere in these exotic dresses. And I'm like, you're not helping things out, Padme. Even you're saying that, Anakin, you can't do this. You'll be expelled from the Jedi Council. Even though she has feelings for him too. And I guess even in episode 1, she had feelings for him too, even though he was a little boy. But she was like young too. Like, I forgot how much older she is than him. 5-6 years maybe ish. Anakin is like what, 9 or 10? She's like 9 or 10, 13 or 14 is Padme. Okay, maybe not 6 years, maybe like 4 years older. He just looked a lot younger because he was a lot smaller. He looked like the character Anakin in episode 1 was about at least 9 years old. Padme at least 13, maybe 14. I don't know. That's what I'm guessing. So she's probably about 4 to 5 years older. But in episode 2, he definitely had feelings for her more than probably she did for him. I don't know. It had to have been equal since they got married. It had to have been mutual agreement, obviously. It's only when he feels his mom is like in grave danger and is having all these nightmares about her. That's when Padme starts to have feelings for him even stronger. Because he's like, I'm sorry if I'm disobeying my mandate to protect you, Senator, but I have to go. I can't leave her. I'm sorry, I don't have a choice. So, yeah, of course he had to go back for her on Tatooine. And of course that was very emotional. You know, seeing her die right in front of him, and clearly he didn't know about the Force healing, and then he went apeshit on the Sand People. But I just like how it starts off, and then, you know, when they save Padme from this, you know, insect creatures that was like gonna kill her in her sleep, whatever, and Anakin with his amazing skill just misses her as he cuts them both down. And then Obi-Wan does that insane stunt where he jumps to that robot before he can get back to the chick that, you know, sending out the probe droid that released the slithery creatures. Anakin goes back for Obi-Wan, and you see him fly his ship, his little ship that he flies to get after Obi-Wan. Especially after the probe gets shot down, and Anakin has like the free fall to catch him. I like that whole segment in Coruscant when they're chasing after that chick. You know, will you excuse me? And, you know, falls down, and I hate it when he does that. Sorry, Master, I forgot you don't like flying. I don't mind flying, but what you're doing is suicide. And then it goes down to the street level, and they finally meet up at that bar. I like how that whole chase scene goes like everywhere, and then it goes down, you know, down to the ground, and I just like that a lot. And then obviously we see the creation of the clones for the first time on Kamino. And if only they knew about the Order 66, that's what sucks about that. The scene between Jango and Obi-Wan, he was like, ever made your way as far as the Coruscant system? Once and twice. Recently? Maybe. Then you must know the Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas. Master who? Sifo-Dyas. He was the one that ordered the clones. Never heard of him. Curious. I was ordered by a man named Darth Tyrannus on one of the moons of Bupton. Who, obviously, Darth Tyrannus is Count Dooku. But no one knew who Darth Tyrannus was. And then, obviously, when Jango and Obi-Wan were going at it in the rain, that was cool. Seeing that fucking, you know, fight go on right outside the famous ship that Jango flies around in, that eventually his son would take over for him when he died by Mace Windu's hand on the fight of Geonosis. But as a whole, the movie, I still enjoy it. I know it has some cringy lines. I like the scene when they were at the on Geonosis where Obi-Wan went out to, then the space duel between Obi-Wan and Jango. I like that a lot. Jar Jar, that fucking idiot, gave emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor, which gave him more power to stay as the Senate and to have more power than even necessary. And I'm like, the beginning of the Empire, and thanks to Jar Jar, since Senator Amidala wasn't there present, Jar Jar was weak, foolish, and let Palpatine take all the power in the world and start the Empire. It's still good. I know it's not great. I love the fight scene on Geonosis at the arena. All the Jedi coming together. I mean, that's such an awesome scene. Fighting the droids. And then the sequence when Anakin was fighting off these aliens in the making machines room that 3PO was going off on. Not much more to explain. Like I said, I'm going into the territory of the movies that aren't 100% elite. But they're still good and still hold true place in my heart. Next on the list is Force Awakens. I know, you're like, that's like the good sequel trilogy movie. Like, are you nuts, man? Well, I don't know. I didn't like that they killed Han off. Give me a break. But it is the continuation of the sequel trilogy of the Star Wars story as a whole, past Episode 6, that we all thought that would be the end, but psych, Disney's like, gotta make money, gotta continue the story. Having a female hero for a change is nice. Having Rey as the next new big hero, and Kylo Ren, kind of like a Darth Vader persona, kind of like look, seeing him being introduced. I'll show you the dark side. You can try. And then obviously beheaded him. And when he froze the shot when Poe tried to shoot at him and froze it, I was like, everyone was like that. I mean, you never seen that before. That was a new power, and that was a nice introduction by J.J. Abrams. Of course, they had like another Death Star kind of like Starkiller base. Instead of an actual space station, it's an actual planet. Starkiller base. So, it's like Death Star 3. It was pretty cool seeing that, now it's a planet size. You imagine how powerful that would be when it shoots off. Well, as you can see, it can destroy multiple planets. Like, I think it destroyed, 3 or 4 planets in Force Awakens. I still enjoy Force Awakens, seeing BB-8 for the first time. Kind of like the replacement for R2-D2. Try to make it more cute, more relatable. Seeing Han and Chewie come back. It was real nice. Seeing the Falcon, everything. That was a really big scene. Leia. That was scene. I started getting a little emotional seeing Han and Leia reunite in Force Awakens, and that was a very special moment. And then here's 3PO gets in the frame. I'm thinking, oh my god. You probably couldn't recognize me because of the red arm. Same jacket. And everything. Oh, I just don't like it that they killed Han off. Man, that really fucking messed with me emotionally. I got really emotional afterwards, after the movie. I was like, I can't believe they did that. I was so fucking mad that they did that shit. Could Kylo Ren be redeemed? Well, killed his dad anyways. So emotional. Then you see Leia feel the loss of Han. God, it's so... makes me mad. You just don't do things like that. But I love that. The fight scene between Rey and Kylo was good. It was pretty decent. It ain't no, Revenge of the Sith stuff. Even Kylo fighting Finn was pretty good. As far as Finn got a couple of licks in here and there, since he's not even Force sensitive. Well, at least in the beginning we didn't think he was, but I guess he was all along. Eventually, Kylo Ren did finish him off, and I'm surprised he didn't kill Finn when he sliced him across the fucking back. That clothing that he's wearing ain't gonna stop that lightsaber from cutting through him any slower. It's gonna cut through him like butter. Melted butter. Like a hot knife through butter, bro. So, yeah, he still survived. But I was like, I didn't give a shit if Rey was all of a sudden just really powerful and she's not defeating Kylo Ren. I didn't give a shit. You killed Han. I was really an emotional mess. I wanted Rey to get him as best as she could and sliced him across the face and chest. Man, that was so satisfying, but she didn't get to kill him. Then the sequel trilogy would have been all for naught if she would have killed him. But as a whole, Force Awakens, it was still good. Starkiller base being destroyed was a very spectacle to see. And in the end, still emotional, but Luke's cameo scene, beautiful. Alright. Next one. Fucking Charge Corp, cooperate. Solo. The first non-Skywalker movie. And, you know what? I still enjoy it. It's, see young Han. People like to call him fake Han. But I still like the young Han. I like Woody Harrelson being in it. The young Lando. Falcon looking brand new and everything. Seeing it like you've never seen it before, all brand new, specced out in white and everything, before Han, of course, gets it all destroyed when he did the supposed Kessel Run, which really still doesn't make any sense in the movie, the Kessel Run. But, man, he really damaged that shit up good when he had to take over, when Lando was hurt, when Han had to take over. My God, he damaged the shit out of it. But I still like it, I still like the story, I still enjoy the movie, say what you want about Solo, I still liked it, so, well made. I know there's no lightsabers, well, you got an almost lightsaber of Paul Bettany's character, that little double-bladed knife or whatever. I still liked it, seeing Chewie younger. I still like the story. I'm not going to want to get into too much because I'm starting to run out of time, but Solo as a whole, it's a decent movie. I still like it good. I do like it more than Rogue One, which I think is the next one, but yeah, I still enjoy it. And the reveal of Darth Maul, confirming that he's still alive. Bone breaker and shocking news. Unless if you watched the Clone Wars, which you would have already known that a long time ago. Next one, like I said, after Solo, Rogue One. That movie, it was still good. I just didn't understand why they had to make it, because it was the whole story of how the rebels got the plans for the Death Star and how to know about the secrets, error in the Death Star. And it's about Jyn Erso and her dad, who's responsible for the plans for the Death Star of the little hole. But you had Vader, awesome. You had this amazing fight scene at the very end of the movie that really had an awesome, amazing climactic ending. See, the Death Star, when it was freshly being built, so you can see the big laser getting put on the Death Star itself. And it wasn't yet strong enough or powerful enough, wasn't fully operational to destroy a whole planet, so to speak. But you do see the power that it still had without destroying a planet. And it shoots it off twice, and you see it still does amazing damage. But not enough to actually destroy a whole planet, so to speak. But it's still good, you know. You had Forrest Whitaker in it. He was good, even though he was like in it very little before they killed him off. I like the robot that was kind of like a 3PO kind of character. I like the blind man that was like, you know, the Force is with me. I am one with the Force is with me. I liked him a lot. It sucked that they killed everyone off. You know, it was like, damn. But I guess they had to because they weren't in future Star Wars movies, so you kind of had to kill them off, so to speak. But yeah, that final Darth Vader scene entrance. Come on, fucking amazing. That's Rogue One for you. And I'm gonna try and make it somewhat short and sweet. Last and least, Rise of Skywalker. I hate to admit it, because it definitely had its moments, but it's the worst of them all. I hate to admit it. It was cringy. What the biggest problem with Rise of Skywalker, it didn't even like introduce anything. I mean, I guess force healing was kind of like a new thing, but nothing surprised me in it. It was okay. I did love the fight scene between Kylo Ren and Rey. It was by far their best duel scene of all the sequel trilogy. And it's the best lightsaber scene in all the sequel trilogy. I'll give it that. But it was shocking to bring Palpatine back. I'm like, the man died, so I guess he cloned himself, and he confirmed it with Kylo that I created Snoke. So Snoke was like, it's like these directors was like canceling each other out all the time. Rian Johnson and JJ. One director would do one thing, the other would do another, and they would undo each other over and over. And I'm like, that's why the sequel trilogy it is really truly a big mess. But whatever. I'm gonna try to keep this short with the Rise of Skywalker. As we all know, it's the worst. And I have to admit, like, why I like Last Jedi is because it's got a great story. Rise of Skywalker, it's an average story at best. None of it, like, you thought they killed Chewie off, but then they bring him right back, not even 5 minutes later, and there's any real sacrifice in the whole movie. No one really died in it. I'm like, I know Leia died in it, but this is already what's going on over 3 years since Carrie Fisher has passed. We've kind of gone to the used to the idea of her being gone, and technically you can't really do much with Leia. So you kind of had a feeling they'd kill the character off, which they said they wouldn't, but they did. And they said they wouldn't recast or do like a digital version of her. They just used old recycled scenes from Force Awakens for Carrie scenes that she actually still filmed and tried to perfectly implement them into Rise of Skywalker, which I'm sure was very challenging, very, difficult for them to do. But as a whole, story's very blah. The Knights of Ren, they're supposed to be like this ultimate badass group that followed Kylo Ren everywhere. But they still didn't even really do anything in the movie. Sith Finders, don't even get me started. I hate those. I really do. They didn't really even explain them, which is stupid. I did like that, that X-Skull. I like how the movie started, with Kylo Ren going apeshit on everyone and killing everyone, and the music when he first arrives at X-Skull and finds Palpatine, and he says the same line, dark side as Force is pathway to mate ability, some consider to be unnatural, and then they revealed him like a fucking zombie or some shit. Rise of Skywalker, I hate to admit it, because it's the last one that came out, and you think the only way how this is not a failure is that it has to be one of the best of them all. It was the worst. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it just is. I hate to admit it. I mean, there's things that Rogue One and Solo that did real well, and that's what Rise of Skywalker just didn't. it doesn't mean that it's not entertaining. I still watch it and get entertainment out of it. Don't get me wrong. But I'd have to agree with pretty much the majority of people. That is the worst one. And it sucks. And yet, I've been hearing recent news. I'm not in the loop. I've heard some recent news. They may erase the sequel trilogy away from canon, meaning they want to act like the sequel trilogy that Disney did to be like a branched off another universe altogether in Star Wars, but a different universe, like a different timeline altogether, which means they sounding like they want to go back and do episodes 7, 8, and 9 again. Probably, I don't know. Nothing's confirmed, they're just rumors. Nothing is completely set in stone at all. But people think it may happen because there's like a huge uproar of people wanting the Snyder cut of Justice League. And look, now we're getting it. It's on the HBO streaming service, but it is out. Like, enough people convinced, I guess now it's Disney since they bought, DC, you dumbass, or Warner Brothers, whatever owns DC, have convinced them to come out with the Snyder cut. So, that's pretty surprising. So we will be getting that. Don't know when, but it will be on the HBO streaming service. Sucks they won't fucking upload it. Have it come out on DVD. So they think if there's enough of an uproar for them to truly take out the Disney sequel trilogy and go back and do them right again. And if this really did happen, and they really did go back and do 7, 8, and 9 again, you better get George Lucas on it. Give him some power back, Disney. Even though it wasn't in the contract, Disney themselves can choose to include George Lucas. They can do that. It's now in Disney's control whether they want George in on it or not. And if there was enough of an uproar that would convince Disney to do 7, 8, and 9 again, but this time have George on board and let him have the last say so on these movies, then that better be the route that they go. Because if they just redid them again, but it's Disney once again, it'd be more of the exact same thing, and that'd be just a waste of money and time and everything else in between. Don't try and right your wrong. You released them and you made them the way you think it should be made. So don't try and right the wrong. Just let it stay released. Let 7, 8, and 9 remain the same. It's like, okay, so if you want to go against the sequel trilogy, which 2 out of the 3 movies have gotten great reviews. Force Awakens is like 90-something%. I forgot, it's like 93, I think, %. And Last Jedi is 91%. Even though the fan score is like 48, the critics still gave it a high score. Only Rise of Skywalker got the bad score of like 55%. Look at the prequels. The first one was like 58. The second one's like 60-something%. Only Revenge of the Sith is the only one that has a good, decent score, and that's like, what, 83? Maybe 84%? Arguably, obviously, it should be like a lot higher. It should be like 86 or 87 in my opinion. Maybe even 88. But, okay, if I had my second all-time, I'd give it a 90, to be honest. Okay, maybe 89 because of some of the cringy lines, but it's at least a minimum 89. But look at the prequels. They're not getting awesome scores. I get it, they're done by George Lucas, but I get it, that's before also Disney owned Star Wars. But my God, it's like if you're going to erase the sequel trilogy, even though 2 of the 3 actually technically got good reviews. I mean, Last Jedi got 91%. Like, that's really diverse. You got a lot of people that say they love Last Jedi, or a lot of people that hate it. It's kind of between. You kind of hear more the people that hate it, you hear that louder than people that like it, because people that say they like it are more afraid to admit they like it. I will admit, as loud as I can yell, I loved Last Jedi. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. Only problem with it, the main problem was killing off Snoke. Didn't like it at all. That was horrible. I don't mind what they did with Luke. I like that they went down a different route and they wanted to show something different. I like that, and not more of the same thing. Show a different side of Luke. I understand that. Give him credit when credit is due, that at least they try to do something different and not just go down the exact same road that you'd expect them to do. Do the unexpected. and that what you want them to do? Like, we kind of all anticipated what Infinity War and Endgame would turn out like, but they also need to be a little unexpected, which they were. Let's be fucking Infinity War and Endgame still turned out nothing like how we intended it to. Let's be honest. Don't erase. Keep it going. Like, let it stand. Let it stay. Episode 7, 8, and 9. Because if you're gonna erase those and take those out of canon, why don't you take the prequels out while you're at it? Because not everyone loves those either. Like, and they got shit scores on Rotten Tomatoes. So why don't you take those out while you're at it, Disney? I get it. It wasn't your work, but now it's your property. So you could if you wanted. Only episodes 4, 5, and 6 can. You wouldn't dare do anything to those because those are the, masterpieces, quote unquote. 1, 2, and 3, mostly hated, except for episode 3. And 7, 8, and 9, I think people only will admit that only episode 7 was even decent. 8 and 9, it's the popular opinion to hate on him. So, it's like only 4, 5, and 6 you can't say nothing bad about, but 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9... you can. It is whatever. I'm going to try to wrap this up. I'm going way too long. That's my opinion of the Star Wars movies. I don't care if you people enjoy it, agree with it or not. I just want to make the video, so to see, to express my opinion on it, whatever. I don't know. I like to hear what you guys, whether you guys agree with it or not. I like to hear opinions in the comments below. Yeah, you know why.